days before his very first budget in the cabinet. You serve the theme this time is MSMEs, but you may want to tell us where we are 60 years of Madaraka in terms of agriculture.
Yeah, I want to tell the country that I think this is the first time I think we are seeing serious revolution in the agricultural sector, where government has committed to finance or subsidize production other than to consumption in the latter years. I am so happy as the current Minister for Agriculture, because with the subsidy program and the support that the government has given the ministry, and wherever I move around this country, I'm seeing a lot of potential in our farms, in the sense that we are expecting to do serious harvest this time, and the gap that has existed between the 32 million bags that we harvest in a year, I think is a gap I think can be able to cover right now, because I require, or the country requires around the 2 million bags every year, meaning every Kenyan consumes an average of 1 bag. So right now, my major focus is how to ensure that there is proper post-harvest management so that we don't lose our food to aflatoxin, because the FAO statistics show that 40% of our food is wasted because of our failure to manage our grains. So now we want to work on how to store, working on the pneumatic bags, working on the dryers, so that every farmer, including having portable dryers, taking them to the farms for the farmers to be able to dry their maize. So this is what we want to do, and to ensure that it is done, so that in the next 2 months we have enough food for us, and the commitment that the president has given of bringing down the cost of food must be achieved, because God has been very gracious. He's been too faithful to us, and He has given us sufficient rain, which we must really take full advantage of, and really ask and really persuade the Kenyan people to know that feeding the country is a responsibility for everyone, and we all require to work together to achieve that goal.
It is important, Rosie, that you're talking about feeding the country. And before I let you go, you must have seen a report about a week or 2 weeks ago that stated that on hunger, that Kenya is heading the wrong direction. 60 years down on Madaraka Day, we are still speaking about the challenges we had. And yes, you're putting in place, you've commented on the measures you're putting in place, but many are speaking about how about now? The measures you're talking about are of the near future. How about now? How are you moving out?
Number one, remember the government has also made a commitment to ensure that we are running away now from rain-fed agriculture to irrigation. And the commitment has been that we want to do dams for irrigation. We want to commercialize our public land so that we put it into agriculture. This is one of the major targets or strategies that we want to ensure, to make sure that we increase our land that has land.
Hold it right there. We are continuing with the conversation. There was it, but that picture there is of the Chief of Defense Forces, Francis Ogola, actually attending his very first national celebration as the Chief of the Defense Force. But let's continue, Waziri. Apologies for cutting you short. It was very important to have that. It is very fast for the Chief of Defense Forces. But even as we wind up, rain-fed agriculture, moving away from it and coming to irrigation.
And mechanization. And mechanization is also anything that we need to do. And I I'm very optimistic that we'll be able to achieve this because there is that serious commitment and we want to do things differently. And I am appealing to the Kenyan people that now, because of the effects of climate change, which has really adversely affected us, and with the use of science and technology, if we were to embrace science and technology, the ministry, with the support with some of our sagas like Calro, we have developed various drought-resistant varieties of different crops, like sugar, like cassava. And by the way, we have a cassava variety that can now do 45 tons in every 1 week. The sugarcane that used to take 18 months, we have a variety of sugarcane with high sucrose levels that can mature within 12 months. So given some time, and this is what I think, because we are barely today 7 months old since we took office. And I am sure in another 6 months by the time we are ending 1 year, we have taken the country forward. And we shall hold you down today. I'm also proud to say, without any shame, that even when people we are discussing about the cost of food, I want any Kenyan to go to any shop in this country. You find that a bag of rice has shot down from the 400 that we took over government to a price of 1,710 right now for 50 kilograms of rice, because of the interventions that we have made to ensure that Kenyans are able to finish.
Thank you very much, Waziri, and we shall be holding you to account. You've said this is only 7 months. We hold you to account in future. But I am speaking to the Budget Committee Chairperson in the National Assembly, who is also the Member of Parliament for Kiharu constituency in Nyoro, Mheshimiwa Mwanzo. Karibu sana hapa Embu. We are talking about the theme for this particular celebrations is MSMEs, and we are moving to President William Ruto's very first budget by next month. You are the chair of the Budget Committee. Perhaps let's get to know what is in plan for MSMEs 60 years of Madaraka.
First of all, thank you very much, my brother, for this chance. Now, allow me to wish all Kenyans happy Madaraka Day, and of course recognize the many men and women of Kenya who gave the ultimate prize for us to reach where we are. Kwa hao wote ambao walipigania madaraka ya Kenya, tunataka tuwapongeze sana. As you rightly put it, our thematic area and our drive has been the economy. And even looking at the dispensation of nations, we are now celebrating Madaraka like many other African countries around this time. We are almost the same birthday as many African countries. And that was political emancipation. I believe the next phase of emancipation that we must focus on is economic emancipation of the people of Africa. And for us to do that, we need the right policies. We need to allocate resources where they should be, so that we spur as many Kenyans as possible, as many Africans as possible, to be active agents of the growth of Africa itself. And in that demographic, if you look at MSME, it accounts for most of what we do in our economy. It accounts for a huge size of what we do in our economy. And that is why, in terms of policy-wise and in terms of resources, we want to capacitate MSMEs. MSMEs ni zile biashara watu wanatikuza, zile ziko chini zaidi na zile ziko hapa medium. Na ndio tunaweka resources both monetary and also policy-wise. Tujaribu kuinua hawa wanabiashara so that they become bigger. If you look at the economies that have almost crossed the level of economic emancipation, pia wao wanaanzia hapo. Na ndio tunaiga pia kuwa kama hapo. Ukiangalia kama South Korea, wakati tulikuwa tunapata we are becoming independent as a nation, we were almost the same size in terms of GDP per capita. Lakini ukiangalia kwa saa hizi wametupita kwa ubali sana, kwa sababu lazima tukivuka sasa hiyo political emancipation, tunaweka all our resources, mental and otherwise, kukuza uchumi. And in that regard, what are we doing in terms of not just talk? Are we walking the talk? Let me demonstrate. We have a budget, very briefly, we have a budget of 3.6 trillion Kenya shillings. We are putting in 27% of our resources into education. Education, because in all the factors of production, we think the human capital in Kenya is the most prized. That is why we need to sharpen the human capital that you have and to refine. Secondly, we are putting a lot of money into finishing the ongoing projects. Kwa sababu economy runs on roads, economy runs on internet, economy runs on infrastructure. That is why we want to capacitate the finishing of all the ongoing infrastructural projects, even without thinking about starting new ones. Na ukiangalia katika uhasla, kwa sababu MSME ni uhasla, unajua ya kwamba ile kitu tulifanya ya kwanza wakati tulipewa nafasi ambayo tuko nayo, tuliweka pesa hata kabla ya kusoma budget ya wananchi ambao wanafanya biashara zile ziko chini, wapate pahali ya kukopa pesa na very low interest rate. We are doing much more. If we had time, I would have enumerated.
Definitely, we will look for you on NTV to explain this. But thank you very much, Mheshimiwa Ndindi Nyoro, for speaking to us. And arriving right now is the Speaker of the Senate, Mheshimiwa Amason Kingi, who is just arriving at the Moi Stadium here in Embu. Let's see whether we can get to hear anything that he may have to tell Kenyans on this particular day. Speaker. Yes, Speaker Amason Kingi of the Senate just arriving at the Moi Stadium. Remember, like I said, it is at this point where dignitaries are finishing. Let's get to hear what the Speaker will have to say.
Ningependa tu ombea wa Kenya kila laheri wakati tunasherehekea sikukuu ya Madaraka hivi leo. Ni siku muhimu sana kwa taifa letu la Kenya, manake linaleta kumbukumbu ambapo wale ambao walijitolea kwa hamu na gamu kupigana na mbeberu ili kuona kwamba Kenya imekuwa huru na tumepata madaraka ya kujitawala wenyewe. Kwa hivyo ni siku muhimu na ni siku ambayo Kenya lazima wajivunie na wajikumbushe mengi ya kwamba tulipotoka ni kubaya. Tulikuwa tuko katika minyororo ya mabeberu, lakini angalau sasa tuko na demokrasia yetu, tunajitawala wenyewe. Kwa hivyo ni siku ya kufurahikia kama Wakenya, na pia ni siku ya Wakenya kuweka vichwa pamoja na kuanza kujiuliza baada ya miaka hii yote ya kupata uhuru wa kujitawala, ni yapi ambayo tumeweza kuyatekeleza sisi wenyewe kama Waafrika weusi, sisi wenyewe kama Wakenya, baada ya kumfurusha mzungu, baada ya kumfurusha Mwingereza, ni yapi sisi wenyewe ambao pia tumeweza kuyatekeleza. Kwa hivyo wakati tunasherehekea siku hii, pia ni siku mwafaka ya kuweka bongo fikra pamoja, kujiuliza, je, safari hii ya kuwa na uwezo na uhuru wa kujitawala ni yapi ambao tumeweza kuyatekeleza, kuona kwamba nchi hii imeenda mbele kimaendeleo.
Je, kama seneti hali ya ugatuzi iko vipi? Manake magavana wanalalamika pesa hakuna kwenye kaunti.
Mambo ya hela bila shaka ni mambo ambayo yanatekelezwa na executive. Kama seneti, ukiangalia katika katiba yetu ni kwamba seneti jukumu lake kubwa sana ni kutetea na kuhakikisha kwamba haki ya serikali za kaunti zimelindwa vilivyo. Na nafikiri miaka hiyo yote 10 na tunaenda 11 sasa, seneti imekuwa imesimama kidete kutetea haki ya serikali za kaunti, kuona kwamba haihujumiki wakati wanatekeleza majukumu yao. Kwa hivyo kusema kweli ni kwamba kama seneti imetekeleza wajibu wake wa kisheria, wa kikatiba, kuona kwamba serikali za kaunti zimesimama na zimelindwa vilivyo.
Well, that is the Senate Speaker, Amason Kingi, speaking about various issues, including where devolution is on this particular day. Forgive the confusion. This is our colleagues, of course, from various media houses, all angling to get a bite from the leaders of the Republic of Kenya and to know where the Republic is. I shall be crossing over to Zacchaeus Mwasame in a few to tell us what is happening on the other side of the country, that is in Kakamega County. Then we will head back here at the Moi Stadium, because in a very few minutes, perhaps we shall be expecting to see Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, then later on First Lady Mama Rachel Ruto, and eventually President William Ruto, who will be leading this national celebrations. But for now, Zacchaeus, what is happening in Kakamega County?
Thank you so much, Ibrahim. We are coming to you live from the land of Cryingstone, the land of bullfighting, Kakamega County. And this is the area that largely depends on farming, especially maize and cane farming. And we are intentional about this topic. We want to talk about cane farming and the plight of cane farmers, those who have been doing this business from the time these parties here. Of course, they could have not been the pioneers, but they inherited it from their forefathers. And I want now to speak to some of the farmers from the larger Mumias farming zone, that is in Matungu constituency in Kakamega County. Rafael Elmo is a long-time farmer, a teacher, of course, a teacher, but he has been doing farming for a long time now. How are you feeling? Are you still doing that large cane farming that we used to do? Welcome to NTV.
Thank you so much. As you've been told, I'm Rafael Welimo, a member of the Kenya National Alliance of Sugarcane Farmers, and also a farmer in Matungu, especially my village. Now, the issue of sugarcane farming is a very touchy and thorny matter. And I want to tell you that by the time I inherited the land from my father, I was doing 7 acres of sugarcane planting. Then we ran along the line and got ourselves into the problem of Mumias closing down. And when it closed down, many of us decided to actually change to other crops that we thought would give us what Mumias used to. Now, we have a problem. We no longer plant our cane to the limits that we used to do. The farmers in the villages, and I'm one of them, and I feel like them, we are the poorest in the community today because we had largely depended on the growing of sugarcane. But alas, when Mumias Sugar Company closed down, for about 2-3 years, we were just wondering what we would do. Then thereafter, we started replanting. Some of us, like me, I contracted myself with another company again in the locality, and I reduced the acreage to 2. So you imagine from 7 to 2, leaving the other section so that I would put some crop for our family members and the community to depend on. But I want to assure you that that has not happened well, because even as we hoped that now Mumias was coming back to its feet, we were so happy when there was this bidding of new investors in the same. Too sad. In fact, you make us feel like we should cry. Get to Mumias, find out whether we are happy, we are not happy. Our shops closed, our hotels closed, the school-going children, we do not even afford to pay their uniform, buy their... we can't just... Some of us, in fact, I have two brothers whose wives ran away because we could not manage it. It is that sad. Now, we are looking at a problem of sugar as being escalated by the current arrangement. The current arrangement where we have now a new investor whose interests are no longer the farmers' interests. We have a problem of politicians who are defending the sugar millers and not the farmers. They are going ahead to sit with them, get their businesses of pulling deals and quickly fixing deals, and then they are saying, whether we like it or not, we shall be forced to accept the existing non-performing gentleman who is by name Sarai. I'm saying so because, and I have no apologies to make on this, because it's now a year since Sarai took over. And down memory lane, he has not contracted a single farmer. But before he came in 4 years down memory lane again, we were harvesting our little sugarcane and selling to the other man who is in the neighborhood, and that is West Kenya. And
maybe if you like farmers, what are you doing about this? Because cane farming has been the only thing that two people have been doing for a long time now. Are you planning to quit?
We will not quit, because if we quit, we will not win. We shall continue advocating for the best from the government, from the best from the millers, to us, the farmers. So if we quit, what else will we be doing? If we join the sugarcane and maize planting, maize planting, it requires a lot of inputs as much as it should. So we will concentrate on where we specialized, sugarcane farming. And our prayer will, and it stands to be, that come on. Yesterday we were in a meeting of sugarcane farmers in Kisumu, and we learned that the chairman of AFA has already declared that we are going to do zoning of sugarcane farming. Why should it be so when, and I want to take you back to our Mumias zone, many of us, the farmers, we have been supplying our sugarcane to West Kenya. Because it is West Kenya that is contracted to us, it has taken care of our interests. They have plowed our lands. They have given us seed cane. Now, when you now say we are zoning, don't you think this man, this Sarai, who never planted, who never contributed anything in this farm, will be the beneficiary? We are appealing that the government, and I'm appealing to the president, that our Madaraka Day, which is today, should be a Madaraka Day to remember the Wangas, because we are the most affected. And before you put me over air, I want to remind the president, he promised to bring us an investor that will be caring to our farmers, and we're still pleading for the same.
Asante, in 1 minute, maybe just quickly. You have been doing cane farming for long. Do you regret doing that kind of farming?
We were actually about to close shop. When Mumias closed down, we thought the end had come. Little did we know their closure was a blessing in disguise, because West Kenya came into light, and with the coming in of West Kenya, we are seeing a lot of light at the end of the tunnel.
Maybe you talk of, we don't want to mention those names of factors here, but then you have been doing cane farming for long. Do you think, because we are seeing the sugar is very high now at the shelves, is that also the same with you? Are you pocketing a lot of money from cane farming?
There is not so much pocketing of money because the same sugar industry is being killed by the so-called millers. Why? Because they are bringing in cheap importation. I don't know if they are even paying duties for those importation and repackaging that sugar and putting it on the shelves as sugar that has been manufactured by their mills, which is very dangerous. That is directly killing the farming in our area, and we are against it. And this is not something that we can be able to hide under the carpet. I believe some of our millers, and especially Mumians, has to be investigated to find out where they're getting the sugar that they are repackaging and putting on the shelves, because when you visit Mumias, you can hardly ever see any truck carrying sugarcane entering that factory. And even at this moment I'm talking to you now, the factory is closed. But you go to the supermarkets, their sugar is all over. So there must be something that is happening that can be able to meet the eyes.
Thank you so much. Thank you for talking to us. That is Mr. Mlama, a farmer. Of course, we talked to Raphael Elimo earlier on, and that is the insight they are asking that the president should also, apart from being in Embu, he should make it candid and speak about the plight of sugarcane farmers, especially from Western Nyanza region. My name is Akes Masame, and now to you, Nick, in Embu.
Alright, asante Mwasame. Nimeamua saa mimi ndo nazungumza kwenye Kiswahili. Sijui kama niko na keki kwenye mdomo, unajua nimetoka tea break.
Kwa kuna mapumziko kidogo. Na bila shaka mtazamaji, tunaendelea na hafla hii. Tayari sasa hivi kama ilivyo ni kwamba ni burudani zinaendelea kidogo kwa nyimbo za sifa. Sasa hafla hii inaonekana kushika mkondo kidogo, manake karibu muda si mrefu Rais William Ruto atakuwa anaingia. Tumeona viongozi mbalimbali akiwemo waziri wa kilimo Mithika Linturi ameingia, spika wa seneti bwana Amason Kingi ameingia, viongozi wengine serikalini mtazamaji wameingia, na hivyo basi tunaendelea hapa kuletea taarifa hizi moja kwa moja kutoka kaunti ya Embu, uwanja wa Moi. Hapa mara ya kwanza tena narudia kwamba watu wanafurahia hapa sana, kwamba
ni kweli. Hata marumu commandos wameimba, watu wakapiga dance kidogo.
Naam.
Yes.
Na hapa tuna mzee Olive, ningependa uzungumze naye muda.
Anaitwa Archbishop Namwaye, ametoka Kisumu. Na yeye yuko hapa. Archbishop, habari yako? Habari yako?
I know English.
You know English? Let me translation.
Kizungu sawa.
Kisumu no Kiswahili.
In Kisumu no Kiswahili.
No Kiswahili. Yes.
Okay, so we can speak in English.
Yes.
What brings you to Embu today?
Yeah?
What brings you to Embu today? What brings you to Embu?
I came here on Madaraka Day. That is the purpose for which I'm here. From Kisumu.
And you are telling me you're Archbishop of which church?
Nomia Church. The Archbishop of Nomia Church.
Nomia.
Nomia Church.
Okay.
The first African independent church in Kenya, registered in 1907.
All right. So tell me, what makes you proud to be Kenyan today?
The Madaraka Day, because that tells me that I am a free person from the colonial yes.
And what vision, what hope do you have for the future of Kenya?
I want to believe that Kenya will be very safe for everybody. Things like corruption, as we know, will not be there. Yes, and especially with the new government. Yeah.
Okay, so what message do you want to leave the new government with and Kenyans at large? What message would you like to give the government and Kenyans at large?
I would like to give a message message that let us all join together. Let us have unity and one accord, and so that all things which are not good, like corruption, let them end. Let us not divide one another. Yes.
Of late, the church has come under scrutiny, especially following the events in Shakahola. What's your response to that, even as we mark 60 years?
Our church is true. It's a church registered in 1907 and has never had any cultural misfortunes. Yes, and therefore it was actually said you are okay. And you know the cabinet minister, Eliudo Walo, is a member of that church. Yes.
No, but just your response as a Kenyan to those events.
Yes, what I'm saying is that as a church, that church has always observed the religious principles. No, there's nothing of cultural nature in it, and therefore we pray so that everybody becomes peaceful, and whatever you want to get it through the normal way. Yes, and that's what I can tell the Kenyans.
Thank you very much, Archbishop. A pleasure speaking to you. I will now invite Nick Wambua back on to tell us where we're going next.
Asante sana mchungaji, na asante kwa kujiunga nasi. Happy Madaraka Day. Thank you very much. Karibu sana. Yes. Thank you. Kwa hivyo basi mtazamaji, hivyo ndivyo mambo yalivyo. Ni burudani kama alivyokufahamisha na Olive. Waona kwamba hapo wanaingia kwa zamu, mtazamaji, wanaingia kwa zamu. Kuna kwaya ambayo inaimba kule katikati ya uwanja, mtazamaji, kisha kuna nyingine ambayo inafuatia hapa, kuna ya tatu, kisha kuna hawa ambao wamevalia mavazi ya kiajabu ajabu. Bila shaka watakuwa na watumbuiza watazamaji wetu kwa siku ya leo. Jua anaitwa kina nani, nimtafuta kiongozi wake. Naam, nadhani kwamba sitakuwa naingilia. Kiongozi, hujambo? What is your name? What is your name? Jina lako ni nani?
Sawa. Aha, hiki ni kikundi kile. Yeah, ni yetu. Okay, sawa. Tunaenda huko kuimba wimbo wa Ramogi Dance. Ni wanakundi kutoka Homa Bay County. Yeah.
Asante. Basi hivyo ndivyo hali ilivyo, Oliver. Nitakuwa narudi na bila shaka tuendelee kufuatilia kina zaidi mambo haya. Tuwape watazamaji na Rais William Ruto naarifu kwamba atakuwa anaingia muda si mrefu kidogo. Sasa tufungie kisha tupeleke kwake Ibrahim Karanja kule na kukutana viongozi mashuhuri.
Alright, Ibrahim Karanja, tunakupa usukani.
Hivyo ni sawa, uko vizuri kabisa.
Usukani kutoka huku Moi Stadium, akiwa pia yeye yuko hapa.
The celebrations here are just about to kick off is when the military parade takes its place at the center of the field. And from where I am right now, this is just behind the main podium. I can see the 160-man parade from the 7 Kenya Rifles, 7KR in Langata, already ready to march their way into the center of the stadium. And the moment they do that, then you'll be sure that the Commander-in-Chief, President William Ruto, will be arriving. So yes, the men in white from the Kenyan Navy, I believe about 40 of them in this particular parade. The men in blue from the Kenya Air Force, again 40 of them. And the men in red from the Kenya Army, 80 of them who are today in today's parade. Again, I repeat, the parade is from the 7 Kenya Rifles, better known as the 7KR. Just in case you wonder which the 7KR is, it is the group that is headquartered in Langata, and it is also the group that gave birth to the Maroon Commandos. They are part of the 7KR, those that military band that has given us amazing music over the years from Langata. This is that particular group, the 7 Kenya Rifles of the Kenya Defence Forces, just preparing to march their way into the center of the stadium. They will be having the flag of the 7K are leading the parade, getting into the center of the stadium. This is a third parade for President William Ruto. The third, I'm saying, because this is the third in a national celebrations. The very first parade that was mounted in honor of President William Ruto in a national celebration was on Mashujaa Day last year. Then there was the Jamhuri Day parade, and now the Madaraka Day parade. Like I said, that is done or mounted by the 7KR, 7 Kenya Rifles based in Langata, under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Kasaine, who will be leading this particular parade. In a few, the moment they take their place center stage, President William Ruto will, of course, drive into this particular stadium and inspect the guard of honor before we even have the national anthem played and the march past that we shall be seeing, and also the air fanfare that shall be be placed by the Kenyan military here at the Embu Stadium. So yes, activities have gone down. What is happening right now is almost the final activities. We have seen VIPs arriving right now. Not very many people in terms of members of parliament, governors who are coming in. I have at least seen almost all the governors from this particular region walk into the stadium. I have seen members of parliament already have taken their place at the center or at their seats. So the person we're expecting right now will be Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. That is after this particular parade goes and takes its place at the center of the field. You can see the live pictures that Maureen Muthoni is giving to you. Like I said, the men on the my very far right, or the very far right of your screen in red, are from the Kenya Army, 80 officers on this particular parade. Then the men in blue from the Kenya Air Force, 40 officers in this parade, and the men in white from the Kenya Navy, again 40 air officers from this parade. Of course, we are directed to now start moving, and Maureen and I will be moving. Apologies for the shaky shots that you are just about to have on your screen, but we are moving to also give space and room to everything that is happening here. Like I said, it is almost the sort of the culmination of the preparations, because the moment this particular parade takes its place at the center of the field, then the Commander-in-Chief, President William Ruto, will be arriving at this particular place. So yes, for now, I'll let you enjoy the shot and enjoy what we are getting to see, even as the Kenya Defence Forces finalizes its preparations as they take and head to take their place at the center of the field.
Tuwapongeze kwa makofi kwa yetu ya Ukristo mfalme. Wape makofi kwake Mike Getone.
Asante sana kwaya yetu inapondoka uwanjani. Shukran sana kwaya yetu ya Kristo Mfalme. Wimbo wao, wimbo tuendeleze. Wanaingia sasa kwaya yetu ambayo ni Karaba Wango kutoka parokia yetu hapa hapa katika sub-county yetu ya Mwea, hususan na jimbo la Embu. Wanatuletea wimbo wao, wimbo Ujenzi wa Taifa. Kumbuka kwamba ujenzi wa taifa ni jukumu langu mimi na wewe, ikiwa ni makala ya 60 sherehe ya Madaraka hapa katika uga wa jimbo letu la nambari 014, ukipenda jimbo la Embu. Tukizidi kuwakaribisha viongozi wote ambao wanazidi kujiunga nasi, viongozi waliotunukiwa nyadhifa mbalimbali za uongozi. Karibuni sana tunapoendelea katika tamasha yetu ya burudani. Kilele cha sherehe yetu ikiwa ni hotuba ya Mheshimiwa Daktari William Ruto, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya na Amiri Jeshi Mkuu wa Majeshi ya Ulinzi. Kwaya hizi ni kwaya ambazo zimebombea katika muziki ya Injili. Ikiwa tunapoimba tunasali mara mbili. Kwa hivyo hongera kwa kwaya zetu, hongera kwa walimu wetu wanaoendelea kubombea katika muziki iliyopangwa ikapangika, miziki mitamu kama uki au asali, miziki iliyo miziki mitamu kama uki ama laini kama zinga za farasi, tamu kama uki au asali. Ikiwa tayari kwaya yetu ya Karaba Wango Parish wanatuletea wimbo
kutoka hapo.
kama mko tayari. Twende kazi mwalimu.
Hapo juu. Oh. Oh, they're on his shorts.
1, 2, 3. Tunakusikia. Tunakukaribisha mara tena hapa katika uwanja wa Moi katika kaunti ya Embu, ambapo ni sherehe za miaka 60 tangu Kenya kujipatia uhuru kutoka kwa koloni mwaka wa 1963, na ilikuwa ni mara kwanza, mtazamaji, sherehe hizi zinafanywa kutoka kaunti ya Embu uwanjani.
Revert back to English on account of Archbishop Namui and others like him, perhaps from the Lake region, who are more conversant in English or with English. So we expect President William Ruto to arrive at any moment. Ibrahim Karanja, before we went on break, gave us an idea of who is who and who has come in. By this point, I see the VIP pavilion is not as empty as it was when we first started. It's filling up now. I see the men in uniform and women in uniform already seated. Several high-profile individuals, including the chair of Vision 2030 who I interviewed earlier today. You mentioned a couple of people before handing over to Ibrahim Karanja, but behind us I can see again men in uniform, a military getting ready, preparing to go once the president gets here.
Of course, behind us is the military band just about to come in. Hii ni ishara kwamba rais anajitayarisha kuingia uwanjani, ama tayari yuko karibu hapa kuingia uwanjani. Maana hiyo bendi ikiwa basi ndio ambayo itakuwa inamuongoza kwa kucheza zile tarumbeta wakati rais akifanya ziara yake. Atakapoingia rais uwanjani humo, mtazamaji, ni kwamba atapiga raundi moja au kwa kusalimia wananchi ambao wamehudhuria kwa maelfu ambao wamefika hapa mwendo wa asubuhi. Hivyo basi rais atakapoingia mara moja ataingia kwenye ile gari ambalo ni la kijeshi ambalo lina kioo, na hivyo basi atakuwa anafanya ziara mara moja uwanjani kisha kuingia, ambapo sasa baada ya hapo ndipo hafla hii itakuwa inaanza moja kwa moja. Hivyo basi tuko hapa kutegea na kuona itakuwa namna gani muda si mrefu. Lakini Olive, how do you think the residents of Embu have embraced this occasion today, being at home today?
How I've read the mood is that they got here very early. Do you remember when we were walking around to come through the gate, and already we had them cheering, singing, chanting, and this is even before the entertainers took the stage. So the mood has been quite jovial. A lot of singing, a lot of dancing. A very striking image stage has been cut by the students, the pupils, the school children in the colors of the flags. You can see the green, the white, the red, the black. They even have matching umbrellas. And I'm curious, Nick, I noticed a flag next to the Kenyan flag, and I'll ask Leila Mohammed to do some research for us and tell us, other than President William Ruto, do we have a similarly ranking government official visiting Kenya today?
There's something about you. You love the choir songs.
Oh yes, I do.
What did you say about that?
I think the voices, the harmony of the voices, that moves, to be honest. Yes. That's my level.
Nimesema Leila huko ndani ambazo zinaingia na kwa sasa